Hey everyone, welcome to another Webflow community live stream. I'm your host Nelson. Thank you for joining me today. I see a few people in the live chat, so I always like to say hi to whoever's first in the door. So, WAFEEQ, not sure how to say your name, but welcome. Beerful Coding. That sounds interesting. Coding, beerful coding. Welcome. Zach is back. Hello, moderator Matthew. Tyron is back. Welcome, welcome. And CJ, yes, welcome to today's stream. So, for today's stream, we're going to be learning about social media strategies. Now, we all know that social media, isn't just about memes and gifs or however you say it, but it's also a way to network, discover new ways of thinking, and of course, it's a fantastic way to build your brand and find clients. I myself have been using Twitter for a very long time. I think since maybe a couple years into when it was first launched, and it really helped me network and find people who are like-minded and like web design. And I want to go into that more and figure out how do we make strategies for it. And to help us learn more about how to level up our social media game, we have Webflow's very own head of social media, Deepak Kanda. Hi, Deepak.
Hey Nelson, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. So glad you're here. And this is like a stream that we both talked about. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to share what goes into making social media profiles better? But
Yes.
uh, before we get into that, I just want you to have the time to introduce yourself to the community. Community, this is Deepak Community, and he's one of the people who is behind the Webflow social media profile. So, yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Nelson, for the warm intro. I was definitely feeling good, but now I'm feeling better that you said gifs or gifs. I like that you're also a neutral because I'm also a neutral. I don't have a side. But hey, everyone, my name is Deepak. I think I've met some of you before, whether online or in person at No Code Conf. But yes, I am Deepak. I'm currently based in Toronto, Canada. And I've been working in tech for about 5 years now. And before that, I used to be in the music industry.
Hmm.
And I'm also a full-time slash part-time yogi, and I love plants. So that's pretty much me. And web design, obviously. That's why I'm here.
Okay, okay. I don't know much of the yoga world. What is your favorite type of yoga?
Hmm. Lately, I'm loving restorative yoga or yin yoga because my body just needs that more.
Uh-huh.
But typically, I would do like sort of more of the physical asanas or the physical poses yoga. But lately, a lot of restorative yoga so I can slow down,
Hmm.
stretch. Yes,
Yeah,
highly recommend.
my favorite pose is the child pose where you just sleep on the floor. I mean,
Child's pose is great.
yeah.
I love
So,
child's pose.
yeah. So, many of you in the audience, you may be familiar with our social media presence. I mean, what is it? Twitter, Instagram. I think we also have,
TikTok.
yeah, we have TikTok too.
Yeah.
Any other platforms that we're on?
I mean, YouTube, obviously,
Oh,
where y'all are
yeah.
watching. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really good.
Is
Pinterest also. So check us out on all those. Yes.
Oh, yeah, the list wow, the list goes on and on, but today we're not just talking about the channels themselves, but
Mhm.
the people and the strategy behind social. So, Deepak, you're clearly a social media savant, but what does that mean in the workplace? Like what does a head of social media do on a day-to-day basis?
I'm glad you asked that question because there is, obviously people come up to me like, what do you do? Do you just write tweets and
Yeah.
make GIFs or write memes? And I was like, yeah, that's part of it. And that's why I'm here because I love making people laugh and bringing people together, bringing the community together. But I think a big part of social media that people miss is a lot of the strategy and the collaboration that goes behind it. So, for example, as a social media leader, I get to collaborate with our product teams, our education teams, and then guide them on how to bring their messages and products to the world. So, for example,
Mm.
when we're shipping something new, like a feature, the PM teams get it up to the point where it's ready to get to the market, and then sort of our
And PM
communication team,
means
product
PM.
managers,
Okay.
product marketing managers. Yeah, I'm glad you asked. And So it's a lot of collaboration with different teams, like I said,
Yeah.
product teams, education teams, and helping getting their messaging out to the community, to the world.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of social media. Another big part is sort of defining strategies for your channels and how you're going to communicate on those channels, who you're going to sound like. Are you going to sound like a teenager? Are you going to sound like a person like what kind of person are you going to sound like? What's their personality? What's their traits? What's their characteristics? We actually at Webflow have a whole voice and tone guide for social that outlines
Oh.
a persona, like who we communicate as on social. It just gives us that consistency. So when you talk to Webflow on
Yeah.
Instagram, it sounds the same as if you're talking to us on Twitter. So there's that
Yeah, there's a
consistency.
lot going behind the scenes
There's a lot.
into it's not 140 anymore. It's like 240 characters at least for a tweet. Like there's a
280 now. 280.
280. Yeah. So there's
Yes.
a lot to unpack there, but just to let you know, like I come from the American online Angel Fire GeoCities generation, and
GeoCities.
the only thing I
Oh my god.
use and actually understand as far as social media goes is Twitter and Reddit.
Mm.
I can't really get into anything else. Like I literally like just to stay in the loop, I literally have to go to knowyourmeme.com to just be like, wait, what's going on? I don't understand. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so like now with all the like the chat snaps and the talk ticks and like it's a bit much. So like I'm really excited to learn more about social media and how to create strategies around it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
By the way, Chat Snaps was great. Love that name. Someone
chat
should make Chat Snaps.
a competitor. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Or it's Talk Ticks.
yes. I mean, if that domain isn't bought yet, it
Yeah.
probably is. But
Yeah, definitely.
let's go ahead and look at our agenda for today. All right. So, we're going to learn some social media tips for us freelancers and agencies. So, yeah, this is direct not this is not for personal accounts that don't really focus on lead generation. This is for freelancers and agencies. And then we're gonna review your social media profile, and then we're going to open up the floor to you, the community, for questions and answers about social media strategies. And before we get into our first session, the presentation about strategies around social media, yeah, if you have a social media profile that's focused on freelancing or it's part of an agency, go ahead and start submitting your social media profile links for review or your questions through the form that's pinned at the top of the chat. All right. So go ahead and submit it there, and our moderators will throw them to me during the second session. And Deepak and I will, well, Deepak will review it and I'll just pull it up on my screen.
It's okay,
All
Nelson.
right.
You can too.
Okay. Well, I'm not that good with social media. Like, I'm just like,
It's all
ooh,
good.
that looks cool. Ooh, SpaceX. So, yeah. So, yeah, let's get into our first session, social media strategy. And Deepak, I understand you've already prepped a short presentation,
Hmm.
and let's start with that. And please share your screen.
Thank you. Yes, I did. And I was, thinking about what can I present to the community that will be helpful and concise, but also have them walk away empowered and equipped to start their social journeys and to grow their presence. So I put together some of my favorite tips and best practices that you can start practicing and sort of taking on as of today. So let's get started. So the first one here that I wanted to always remind people of is nailing the basics. Nailing the basics means getting your profile photos, getting your headers, getting your bios. I'm always surprised by how many people actually don't have this right to start with. And this includes things like having your bio up to date and reflecting on what you actually do, focusing on keywords such as web design, web page, SEO, copywriting, whatever sort of your trade is. Make sure you have some of those keywords in your bio.
Do those
Uh,
keywords from your bio
mhm.
rank you up? Is that kind of like SEO where it ranks you up on
Yes.
Google?
Not on Google, but in SEO within the social platform. So let's say
Oh,
I'm on Twitter and I'm a startup founder and I'm looking for a copywriter. let's say, and for some reason I'm searching Twitter, and I go on Twitter and I search copywriter,
Mhm.
that's where this really comes in handy. So if you have that copywriter in your bio, you're much more likely to show up in those searches, whether it's on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Make sure your bios include the keywords that focus on your trade.
Okay.
So again, copywriting, graphic design, rocket design, whatever, whatever it is,
Rocket
whatever it is that
surgery.
you do, you rocket search. Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to bring out a couple of examples here from the community, Diego and John Saunders,
Yeah.
who I think did an incredible job with their profile bios and headers. So, in the first example, Diego, you can see he has specifically Webflow developer, brand designer, problem solver, which are great keywords to have, especially like Webflow developer, brand designer. And then, from his photo and sort of header, you kind of get a sense of his personality, and it's very clear that he built sites, and with love and with Webflow. Obviously, everything with
Yes.
love is always better. And Diego, we're also going to follow you back. This is an old screenshot. uh, and John Saunders, again, I love what John did with his bio, where he added right to his name Webflow web design and SOPs, which is again a great example of how you can get on top of the SEO. And just speaking of SEO, if you search Webflow on Twitter, John actually pops right at the top because of
Oh.
his mention of Webflow and right in his name. I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but if you are in a very sort of, if you are using a niche tool, or like Figma or Photoshop, like having some of those names can really help in your bio, and definitely in your, obviously not in your name ideally, but you would want to have them somewhere in your bio and the top of your profile.
But you don't want to overdo it where it's
Exactly.
like you have every single tool listed in your name and your
No,
bio. Like
definitely
I
not.
use Gmail and
Definitely not.
Photoshop and Figma.
No, definitely not. You definitely don't want to do that, and that's why I love sort of what John is doing here. It's, there's a little space, and then he says waffle web design, and yeah, not this is not, not everyone has to do this. And again, with social media, and I think just with most things in life, there is
Yeah.
definitely a level of discernment and a level of, sort of just your self-awareness, like how
Mm.
much am I okay with, what do I want, what looks okay, what doesn't
Yeah.
look okay for me. You draw the line. I don't think we should definitely overdo anything, but
Mm.
anyways, yeah, I just wanted to point out a couple of these examples for how to have really solid bios and profile photo. And even in John's, for example, header shot, you can see him speaking at a speaking engagement, and I think it shows again just like his passion for his work that he does. So I think it's really good to show, because when clients come across your profiles, there these subtle cues really make a difference,
Yeah.
right? So like, for example, on Diego's, you see he makes websites with love, and I think for someone like a client that values things being built with love, like that might just drive
Yeah.
them home, right?
Yeah.
Versus, and then in John's case, it's like he's speaking to a crowd that shows credibility. That means
Yeah.
he is a
And it looks
professional
like
in
none of
his.
them are on their phones, so that's
No,
even more
no,
credibility.
exactly,
Credibility.
exactly. And a clear headshot is always really helpful in
Yeah.
both of these cases. You can see that, and I think obviously in Diego's case it's animated, but that's okay too, as long as
Yeah.
the personality and the face is visible. I think that's really helpful. We're
Are
all humans at the end of
animojis
the day.
okay?
Emojis are okay in the bio, not in the name,
Mm.
but in the bio they're totally fine. But yeah, also never overdo emojis in bio.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'll move on to the next point here. So again, another
Mm.
big question I always get is, where do I start? I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Chapsnats, and I'm on all these places, and I'm not getting any traction. So a big thing that I always tell people, whether in any industry really, even as a brand, is starting with one channel. And the reason I say this is because you need to build your core audience in that one channel, and then they will expand out into other channels.
Mm.
So some of the questions I like to ask are determining who your ideal client is, what type of content are they consuming, where are they hanging out, and then when you ask yourself these questions, you will get answers. Like, for example, let's say I'm a sneaker designer, a freelance sneaker designer, or a freelance sneaker artist, right? Like,
Yeah.
where are the sneaker people hanging out? Where's the sneaker community? Figure out those channels, because they might not be there. Obviously, there's pockets of sneaker community on every channel,
Yeah.
but where are they mostly hanging out, right? So like figure out
Mm.
some of those questions, and then create a profile on the channel where they're mostly hanging out. So, um, and another thing that the second point here that I mentioned is like, you know, people always struggle with like I don't want to show my face, or I do want to
Yeah.
show my face. I hate writing. So like, again, these are always really good questions to ask yourself. Like, do I love showing my face? There's channels specifically meant for those people, right? Do I not like showing my face? Do I only want to prefer audio or writing? Then you can start with podcasts or Twitter. And if you love showing your face, there's always YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I think there is plenty of opportunities for everyone across the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I think in 2022, you can definitely get started. Doesn't matter what you're
Yeah.
comfortable with. It used to be like, oh, you got to be on camera, and
Right.
now with podcasts, with Twitter, I feel like you can definitely build an incredible community without sort of having without having your face in the heavy video.
Yeah. Or you can
And
be like, I don't know, people wear masks like Daft Punk and play both. Yeah.
yes, if you have a cool mask, you can definitely do that. You should definitely do that.
Yeah.
But that's funny. But yeah, so it's pick that one channel, build your community there. They will transfer over. I can't I have countless examples of influencers, of brands that really started with a core channel, and then their audience is easily transferred over to, let's say they started on YouTube, they really got really good at it, and then the
Yeah.
audience is transferred to Instagram, to Twitter, to Facebook easily. That's easy. But I think the biggest part is building that core community. Another big reason for this is you only have so much attention and energy, right, throughout the
Yeah.
day. If
Yeah.
you're going to spread it out across 5 6 different channels, you're just not going to have the energy to like communicate to all those people that are messaging you or commenting
Yeah.
on your posts. But if you have one, you can spend all that energy into that one profile, and you can answer people's questions thoughtfully, mindfully, and you can really take care of your community there. So big
Mm.
thing to do here is stick to that one channel. And we all have that one channel we're just naturally good at. Some people are just
Yeah.
naturally good at Twitter, some people are just naturally good at Instagram. So find that thing, stick to it, build an audience, and then move on to the next channel.
All right.
The third tip here is content.
Yes.
And I write that because content is key in this world in 2022. Most of us consume content every day. And I think, a way to get started with content, because it's a big thing to conquer. There's plenty of people um, trying to make all kinds of content. And I think a framework here that I want to leave people with, I think will be really helpful, is sort of thinking about content as discoverable content versus community content, and then finding out good, healthy ratios for each.
Mm.
So discoverable content is the content about people finding you.
Yeah.
Community content is content for people who will already follow you, to show them more about your personal life. And a big common mistake that I want to point out here, Nelson, I think you probably see this on Twitter all the time, is talking to other freelancers on your social profiles instead of your customers.
Mm.
A lot of us in the freelance community, we obviously love each other and we want to support each other.
Yeah.
But then mistake that people tend to make in this case is that they end up sharing their process and talking to other freelancers about their struggles, but they don't realize that their profiles should be speaking to their customers, not their freelancers, unless obviously other freelancers are your customers. Right? So
Yeah.
if you are selling to other freelancers, then you should make freelancer content. Like, I think Rand Segal, right, for example, he does a
Oh
great
yeah, I was
job
already
at
thinking about him. Yeah, he's
yeah
always
yeah
giving great tips
right,
for
to freelancers.
freelancers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, because that is his core audience, right?
Yeah.
So I think you should think about what who your customers are, who your end users and customers are of your services, and then speak to them. And I'm going to share some examples here.
Okay.
Um, and before I get into examples, quick ratio, sort of
That
high
makes
level
sense.
ratios that I like to use is keep 50% of your content discoverable, keep 30% of your content community, keep 20% direct promotion. Again, these are like high level, ratios. You can obviously tweak it according to your situation, but I
Yeah.
think that I've always used these ratios, even at Webflow, for example, to, because the discoverable content is what's going to get people
Yeah.
in the door. The community content is how you're going to keep them in the door and like in the room. And then direct promotion is how you can actually persuade them for action. Uh,
This makes me
but
want to go back through my social media profile and be like, what am I do? What's my? It looks like nutrition macros or something. What's my macros right now of my of
hey,
my Twitter account?
one thing I've always learned in yoga, it's all about balance.
Yeah.
you know, it's all about balance. You gotta bring balance into everything, whether it's your social profile, whether it's your fitness routine, whatever it is. And even with your content, balance is key, like I said here, and then
Mm.
having a good balance is really, really key. So I'll share some examples here from the community again
Mhm.
for discoverable content versus community content. So Kaylee here, she's a freelance writer, a copywriter, and this is some of her discoverable content that she shares on Twitter. So again, discoverable content do not typically have a call to action. They are providing value to your audience in simple, straightforward ways. So these could be in forms of tips. These could be in forms of like insights that you've learned recently. These could be in forms of best practices. And so, for example, she shares on the right here, been writing full time for 8 years. Here's what a solid writing process looks like, effort wise, in my mind. So again, when you look at these tweets, these are some of the high value tweets that are more likely to get shared, right? For example, like when someone sees that, they want to share that with their audience, whether it's retweet, whether it's an Instagram share.
Yeah.
And that's why this is discoverable content, because this is how people are going to notice you in the world. This is what going to bring people in the door. You making a call to action post to join your Zoom session is not going to make people notice you around the world,
Yeah.
but you providing value in this way is definitely going to bring people in the door. So this is really good
I'm
example of
I'm gonna
discoverable
actually
content.
try this today. I'm gonna after this
Yeah.
stream, I'm gonna just write about my past career,
There
and
you
then I'm
go.
just gonna watch it. I'm gonna see is is Deepak right? Is he like I'm gonna see how many likes or how many retweets. I'm like, okay, I'll
Test
see.
it.
Because
Test it.
Vlad did a tweet about his past of like how
Yes.
many tries, what 4 tries, and how many
Exactly.
jobs and 2 kids
Hmm.
to get Webflow off the ground. And I
Hmm.
remember that one just had so many likes and retweets,
Hmm.
and that's what this tweet is reminding me of.
Yeah, no, it's a great example. Again, that's a great example of someone sharing their journey and providing value to someone who might see that and might get inspired or encouraged to do other things. So
Yeah.
yes, great, great, great example.
And
And then a
before you move
community.
on, hold
Yes.
on. So before you move on, just want to remind people that if you want me to, if you want Deepak to review your social media profile to make sure you have balance on it, go ahead and submit it through the form that's pinned at the top, or even your questions. And right after this presentation, we'll get to that. So just want to remind everyone in the live chat. But yeah, go ahead,
Perfect.
Deepak.
Thank you, Nelson. That's a great,
Mhm.
good reminder. Cool. So moving on to community content. So shout out Grace Walker here. And I don't know if she's in the live chat, but just another example of community content here is sharing more of your personal life too, and
Mhm.
as much as you're comfortable with. Obviously, nothing that's too much, but she shares here like long weekend snaps, right? These are just
Yeah.
photos of her going biking, I think with a friend, and it's just photos of what she likes to do on the weekend. And these are always good. Again, thinking about that 30% ratio, keeping these to a solid 30% rather than like making this all 100%, because that's what people tend to do sometimes. This will be all 100% of their content. They'll forget about that discoverable content that I spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So anyways, really, really key to have that balance. And then we'll talk about some of the direct content later on in the presentation. I'll move on to the fourth uh, sort of tip and slash best practice here: creating a funnel.
Funnel.
So again, if you're using social media for personal use, obviously you don't need to create a funnel. You can just share photos of your pets, and that's about it. But if you are using social as a professional, you want to be able to bring people from that discoverable community content into obviously some sort of call to action, whether it's
Yeah.
signing up for your course, whether it's becoming a customer of your services, whether it's signing up for something you have to offer, or buying an ebook or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. And so for that happens, and then this is like a boxing analogy that I like to use from Gary Vee, right? Jab, 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 right hook, which is analogy, a thing in boxing. The way I like to say it is like give, 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 and then ask. A lot of people maybe sometimes reverse this, right? And they're like ask, 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 always asking for social things on social, but then never giving.
Mm.
So this is why that discoverable 50% of your content is really important. This is where you're giving value to your audience and community. And then when you do ask, your asks are actually much better. So for example, if you share something really valuable all the time, and then you say, hey, join my workshop, much more people are likely to join that workshop. If you're just saying always join my workshop, join my workshop, join my workshop. Uh, So give
Yeah,
people a taste, give people
I've
value.
noticed that when I also need help with Webflow things that I'm trying to do
Mm-hmm.
for my freelancing,
Mm-hmm.
um, is like I share and give tips and tricks, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's times I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do this, and
Mm.
then I ask, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I'll help, and like it makes me
Yes.
go, oh wow, well that's cool. I got the
Yes,
help I
because you've been
need.
giving so much to the
Yeah,
community, Nelson, like for so many years, right? So you've done the give, 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 and I
yeah,
feel like so that's a beautiful example of like how this plays out, right, in reality.
yeah.
Um, and then this is a sort of a funnel I wanted to walk people through, going from awareness to action. So
Okay,
awareness is a lot of the discoverable content we were talking about earlier, where you're providing that value.
that content.
Uh, yes, the content, content.
Yep.
So that's where awareness happens. So they see a post of yours, right? So you share something, they see it on Twitter. The next step that happens in the social funnel is interest. So now they come to your profile and then check out your profile. And this is where the first things we talked about are really, really important. What's your
Mm,
profile photo? Do you have a clear bio? What do you do for work? Do you have a nice header photo? So these are all really important because when people are in the second phase of this funnel, they're looking at those things, whether subconsciously or consciously. And then you have decision, which is the person that's on your profile now is going to make a decision about whether they follow you, whether they don't follow you, based on if your value is clearly visible, right? If you just
yeah.
in your bio just say dog lover, that might be great for a personal profile, but as a professional, that doesn't give me much to work with. I'm like, oh, this person loves dogs, and that might be enough because I might love dogs too. But if you are a professional, you want to be clear about what you're about, what your content is about, and then make that clear so that their decision making can be much easier. And then there's action, which is an action that you want them to take, like a
Mm,
webinar, mailing list, an inquiry. In your case, asking for advice, whatever that may be. But this is typically, in a high level sense. This is like a social media funnel. So you start with awareness, interest, decision, and then action. And then
mm,
we spoke about, I think, the first three here mostly, in our discoverable content, in our getting the basics right.
yeah.
And then for the funnel example I wanted to give here was, for example, going back to Kaylee, she had the discoverable post where she was sharing her journey as a copywriter. And in this case, now she's inviting people to her session, which she's leading how to write like a journalist, right? So again, looking at the funnel, awareness, you share value, you have a clear profile, people come to your profile, and now you share a session like this, you have a much more higher probability to convert people and to actually get them to the session. Just like in your case,
Mm,
because you've given so much, when you ask, people do respond.
makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, so this is a great example of like a funnel sort of, call to action post. And in call to action posts, make sure you're providing clear value of what the person will get after they sign up. So,
Yeah.
like she makes it really clear, this is ideal for people looking to publish more news, trends, focus pieces, and thought leadership in their spaces, right? There's a clear sort of value even before I click on the link. So that's really, really important for people to drive more traffic to their call to actions.
Yeah, makes sense.
Um,
Going back to the
mhm,
interest part, I had a question about
mhm.
interest, the profile photo, header, bio. I've seen some header images where they they have a big giant arrow pointing to their follow button. What is
Right.
your thoughts on like just it's like those
Hacks.
YouTube thumbnails or something with like
Yeah.
red circles and red arrows and stuff, and it's like, oh my
Right.
god, it's like really trying to tell you to do it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, those are, the thing with hacks is, first of all, they only work for so long, right? Just like if
Mm-hmm.
you try to hack your body, it's only going to work for so long before your body's like, okay, this is too much.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So I think hacks only work for so long. And also, I think if you do want to use them, keep them to your personal profiles, not to your professional profiles, because your
mm,
professional profiles, you want to show professionalism first and foremost.
yeah.
If you show hacks, then the client is also going to think they're going to hack your website together instead of actually building it.
I
So,
I did not know using arrows was called a hack in the social media
well,
world.
it's a hack as in like it's a tactic. It's a sort of, I don't even want to say the wrong word here, but I think it's like a Yeah, it's like some sort of tactic to like,
Hmm.
hack someone's mind. To you're
Oh,
basically
okay.
using the reason that I call it a hack is because you're using someone's psychology against them, right?
Oh, okay.
And the whole red arrow thing works because your mind first of all gets very active when it sees something red and pointy, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm supposed to go in this direction just based on like how we've been conditioned about following
Okay.
red signs. So people know this about our psychology, so they try to use it to then make them take them certain actions. So it can get a little unethical too. That's why I say
Mm.
it's not really the most ideal. It doesn't show professionalism to me. It shows a person who is going to sort of hack their way around things. Just again, my personal opinion. This is
Mm.
not my opinion is not the fact, but in my opinion, I would stay away from silly tactics like that and then stick to a professional, personality and showcase that on your profile.
Okay. So it's don't use red, use green arrows. Got it. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I use yellow arrows because yellow is my favorite color. But
Okay.
I'm just joking. Don't use any arrows. The last point I want to drive home with everyone here is a long term game, and I say that with emphasis because social media is a long term game. One
Yeah.
post does not equal one client. You're not going to start a Twitter page tomorrow, post a photo of your client, and then get another client. Like that's just not how this works. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of nurturing with your community. It's going to take a lot of giving, like we talked about before. In,
Yeah.
in even in your case, Nelson, like it took you a few years to build that solid community, and it wasn't done overnight. I'm sure you can speak to that.
Yeah. And I still
And
don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, it's okay. A lot of people don't know what they're doing, and that's totally okay. I think that's part of the journey,
Yeah.
But the key here, the key point here is like really think about your social as if you're building a community. And communities are not built overnight; they take time to build. Give value, keep working on it consistently, and the payoff that social will have in the long term is unmatched, in my opinion. Like it might not be the place that gets you direct customers, but the credibility it's going to give you, the community, the relationships,
Yeah.
it enhances your brand in so many ways, especially when someone, let's say you're trying to hire a freelancer or an agency. What's the first thing they do? They Google you, right?
Yeah.
And after they Google you, they're most likely going to land on your website or a Twitter or Instagram profile.
Mhm.
And if those places are crickets,
Yeah.
or there's nothing happening there, then the person automatically subconsciously has a hard time trusting you now because they
Yeah.
don't see other people trusting you. So
Mm.
the currency of social is very, very valuable, um, in people when people make decisions. So definitely make sure you're building communities, you're doing the right thing, you're playing the long game, you're giving tons of value,
Mhm.
um, and uh, and yeah,
Um,
that's the last thing I want to drive home.
and this is what I'm seeing more of from organically created no code communities,
Yes,
like Webflow
exactly.
Cafe, Webflow Party,
That's a party.
FinSuite,
Hmm.
Did I say Floxy's already? Um,
Yes, Floxy's. Yeah, you didn't
yeah,
say yeah, but Floxy's is great.
yeah, and Flox. So they're always giving, 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 and then I
Hmm.
think their call to actions like join our community or watch our
Hmm.
YouTube or
Hmm.
join a Saturday morning party, and people show up,
Yes,
and it's just amazing to see. Um,
it really is.
so uh,
That's it for me for the slide. So Nelson,
oh
we can move on. But that's
yeah,
those are those tips and best practices. I have my Twitter and LinkedIn here, which I'll also shout out later. But
thank you.
just wanted to thank you for listening to this so far.
Yes, thank you for all these tips. And while we're waiting for questions and social media profiles to review, you did mention at intro of what has to happen behind a big company social
Hmm.
media profile for like
Hmm.
Webflows, and so like what kind of meetings are you a part of to make one post? Like how does that all happen? Because like to me it's just like, oh, okay, something's about to come out. Okay, so I'm just gonna post about it. Hey, like a new live stream's coming out.
Right.
Cool, but like there's more to that than just writing a tweet. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm actually ideally what I tell all project owners and campaign owners and leaders in the company is, involve us as soon as you can. So usually, typically, that's when they have a kickoff meeting.
Mm.
Let's say we are shipping, our conference later this year, which we don't have a name for yet, but we're working with all of you to
Oh
come up
yes.
with a name together. So that's really exciting. So let's say we have a conference coming together, and typically the stakeholders, whoever is working in that campaign, will meet. Like have a kickoff sort of meeting, which
Hmm.
basically is a chance for everyone to get together in a room and talk about what's our plan, what's our goals, what do we want to accomplish with this campaign, with this launch. And as a social team, myself and Pat, who's on Water Ruffle social team as well, shout out to him.
Hmm.
And we will join that meeting and try to understand what the project owners are trying to accomplish. So what their main goals are, whether it's just to drive a certain action, whether it's to drive signups. And then based on that goal, we'll craft a social strategy for each channel, because a lot of people don't understand. And this is actually another big tip that I want to give people is like, respect each channel. Like, don't do what you do on Twitter on Instagram.
Mm.
Like, don't do what you do on Instagram on TikTok. Like,
Yeah.
respect the channel's format. So if you have Twitter, you're gonna be able to you're gonna want to write words. You're gonna want to write clever copy, like short. If you're on Instagram, you're making visual content, and like, how do you display that information visually in a photo or video or story? So I think the key is to respect each other. So then we craft a strategy for each channel, like how we're going to share this information on Twitter, how we're going to share this information on Instagram,
Mm.
how we're going to share this information on LinkedIn. And then we make a plan of like, what kind of assets do we need? This is where a lot of collaboration with brand, like
Yeah.
design, comes in. Like, hey, do we want a video for this? Do we want a photo for this? Do we want a GIF? Do we want a GIF?
Yeah.
What do we need for this, to showcase this in the best way? So that's
And you need to
all our decisions.
balance all of that with discoverable and community,
Yes.
and then the
Yes.
the call to
So
action,
that's
like buy your whatever conference name
yes.
here,
Yeah.
tickets.
No name conf was pretty funny. I
No
thought.
name conf. Okay.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, so we're part of those meetings where we're
Yeah.
working with campaign owners to ship stuff out to the world. Then we're also part of our own creative meetings where we are making that discoverable content. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what can we share with the community that's going to give them value, entertain, inspire, or educate them in some way?
Yeah.
Those are like the three pillars that I think about: educate, entertain, inspire. Like, if we can be in one of those categories,
I like
you know
those words.
yes,
What
it's
was
it's
it?
key. Educate,
Educate, entertain,
entertain,
inspire.
inspire. Yes.
Yes.
If what I'm writing as a tweet fits one of those categories, then it's good to go. Like, if I can
Mm.
educate someone, if I can entertain someone, if I can inspire someone. Ideally, I can do all three in one post, but that's hard.
Oh,
That's where you
yeah.
need a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
But most days it's like, let's do one at least for this with
Yeah.
this post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
let's get to the next part of this stream. And let's see if we can apply some of this new knowledge that we've gained from you to some social media profiles. So let's review some of these profiles. Okay, so first one, let me
I'm
pull.
excited for this.
Okay, so this person, Daniel, has Twitter and LinkedIn, and Daniel is saying, "How do you recommend establishing?" Oh wait, no, that's a okay. That's a separate question. So let's just go
Hmm.
to his profile first. So here's his profile. Um, I see the keywords here. Okay,
Hmm. Really
that's
good. Really
good.
good start.
Yeah.
By the way,
What?
hi Daniel. I love seeing you on Twitter. I've seen him before on Twitter. It's really cool.
Oh, he got honorable mention on awards. Nice,
That's
nice,
awesome.
nice. So okay. So thoughts so far?
I like the website in the bio. That's really good. I really love the specific keywords. I think Daniel's on top of that. I really like my only feedback so far would be, can you go up, Nelson, to
Yep.
the
Yep.
profile? Uh, do a headshot without a phone in the face.
Mm.
Always shows professionalism. If you have a mirror selfie, I would just try to avoid that. Again, it just hides your face. It's not the most ideal. Try to just either get a headshot or take a photo without a phone in the way.
Hmm.
That would be my feedback so far. I think the bio is great. I think the link in bio is also really, really awesome. I
He's
like the
wearing a
pin.
Figma shirt, so
I
maybe
like the Figma shirt. I
yeah.
like the Figma shirt. I love Figma. Um, I like the pin tweet. I think that's really, really cool. Like, sort of, here's my personal projects inspired by. I love that. I think pin tweets are great to kind of show you like a quick summary of what this person is about,
Yeah.
and I think you should keep that valuable content as a pin tweet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Daniel is doing great. I think that some of the content he's retweeting, he's um, making comments about things. This is really good. I think, like I say to a lot of people, like as you retweet, also reply to those tweets too,
Oh, okay.
because when you retweet or quote tweet, only your audience sees what you shared. But when
Mm-hmm.
you reply to the tweet that you're retweeting, a lot more people see that reply because they're much more all the followers of the original person who actually posted that tweet can see those. So Daniel, keep going. Great photo on LinkedIn. I love that you have open to freelance jobs. That's a really smart move. Definitely keep like think if you're open to work, add that to your LinkedIn bio. Really,
Okay.
really helpful. Really, really helpful. When people go on your profile, they love to see that and it's clear that you're open and available, rather than like, hey, are you available for work?
Yeah.
So it saves them some time. Yeah, this is great.
Hmm.
Love it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And he also has a question.
Yes.
How do you recommend establishing the general voice and tone of a business on social media?
Great, great question. So, hmm, the way I would think about that is figure out values, things that
Hmm.
you really care about and you want to stand for in the world. For example, at Webflow, we really value kindness,
Yeah.
right? We never want to be unkind to people. We also really value humor, as you can tell from our education videos and our content. We also really value community. So a lot of the values that you're going to end up deciding are going to guide that persona or personality. And then based on those values, you're going to create that voice. So figure out your values. I would say 3 to 4, no more, no less.
Hmm.
3 to 4 will give you a good mix of like, to sprinkle in different things, like humor and kindness. And and then based on those values, literally create a persona. This is what I do with all my clients, and also like at Webflow, what we do is we literally create a persona. Like, how old is this person? Where does this person live? What's their name? Like, give them a
Mm.
name. Give them characteristics. Like, for example, at Webflow, our persona internally that we have is called Willow, right, for social. And Willow is like hates the status quo, right?
Okay.
Loves to inspire and move people forward.
Yeah.
Doesn't like wearing a lot of like, just doesn't has like a very certain set of values that like we've
I
given
thought you
this
were gonna say
persona.
doesn't like wearing a lot of colors because a lot of creatives like wearing black, myself
Well,
included.
what I was gonna say was Willow doesn't like wearing a lot of like neutrals, so he
Uh,
likes to he's more expressive. He likes to wear
okay.
colors and
Okay.
things like that. So yeah,
So
but
I'm
what I'm
not
trying to
Willow.
say is that you could be. Some days you are, especially on that
That's true.
space shirt that you have.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, so like just get descriptive. Like for example, for Daniel, if he's trying to give a persona for his business, like think about who this person is. Like make up a person, and then when you're writing content across LinkedIn, across Twitter,
Yeah.
write as if that person is writing. Right? What would they write? What would they say?
Yeah.
This way, you can just be very consistent across your profiles. And this is really. I mean, here's the thing: if you're Daniel, if you're thinking this for like an agency page, like something that's not you, then you do this, right? But if this is just you for your own personal pages,
Hmm.
be you. That's where
Yeah.
like the be you comes in. You don't have to create this persona if you're just acting as Daniel. But if you are going, let's say, this is really important for brands, right? Like for example, Figma, Shopify,
Yeah.
Airbnb. Like if you're a big brand, as a big brand, we have to create this persona because, as a social media leader, if I just start being me, and then let's say if I leave the company, then that person is gone, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of have to create this persona so that something can stay forever. Even if
Mm.
it's me or whoever is writing, they know exactly who to write like. So if you're an agency, if you're starting a page for an agency for your company, do the persona. If you're just Daniel, like your personal profiles,
Just be
I would
you.
just say just be you. Yes, be you as
Cool.
much as you can.
All right, let's move on to the next profile. So we
Let's do
have
this.
Khalil. I think that's how
Khalil.
we say his name. And first thoughts so far.
Love the header. Web design, SEO campaign sort of gives me like a quick business card intro. into
Mm-hmm.
what he does. Um, love their bio: Webflow developer, UI designer, SEO consultant, super clutch. Love the headshot. I love everything about this, to be honest. I think, can you go down a little bit just
Yeah,
so I can
yeah.
see some of their content? Um, keep going. I like the engaging with the community, the retweeting. Um, yeah, I would say like instead of retweeting, try to just like write more too. I see a lot of
Oh,
retweets.
yeah. Retweet.
Uh,
Okay,
there we
here's something
go.
he wrote. Okay.
There we go. I'm doing all three each other to see what happens in a few days. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when
And
people build in public.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A tip that I have for Khalil is, let's like, looks like he loves using Spline. Spleen, is that how you, I'm not sure how you say
Spline.
that tool. Spline. So one thing I would do for Khalil is, Lensel, click on Spline, like the hashtag,
Okay.
is Khalil, spend like 5 to 10 minutes a day just replying to some of these tweets.
Oh.
So get in the community, right? Like reply to these people. Like, hey, Sandipan, I love this like 3D thing that you made. Just like, set a timer. This is what I used to do. Set a timer, 10 minutes, and just reply, engage with this hashtag Spline, and
Oh.
just, organically. Don't just say like, it's the same thing, copy and paste. Like really
Yeah.
look at their content. For example, point out some of the things you like, some of the things you don't like, give them some feedback. That will get you in the community, and you'll see a ton of audience growth and get you credibility too in
Yeah.
that community. So big recommendation there.
All right.
Because I
Yeah.
because I noticed he doesn't have a ton of followers. So I think that would be a great way for him to grow his following.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Like you can't if you love a community, talk with that community. Show
Yes.
them that you're because they'll welcome you once they see your work. That even if your
Yes.
work isn't that great. That's how I got
Exactly.
into the Webflow community. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I
Mhm.
will chat it up with people who know what they're doing.
Yes,
Um yeah.
100%. It's really, really important to like do a two-way engagement, right? Because a lot of times we think on social media, I'm gonna put content out there, but where are the people? How are they gonna find me? Like, why is no one retweeting my stuff?
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna find you when you go out and find them too. So
Yeah.
go out and find those people.
Yeah.
And use the hashtags, use the Twitter search function, use the Instagram search function. Now you can search posts on Instagram just with a search keyword. So that's really cool.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, do those things.
All right, next one from Stephen Love. All right, so here we go.
Steven, definitely update your header. Doesn't tell me much about really anything other than maybe you love architecture, but
Yeah.
uh, update your header. Photos, okay. I would like a clearer headshot. Um, definitely update that bio to
Mm.
something that's more like tells me what you do, because I I see, I like the quote there, but that could be a tweet and not a bio.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so put, in the bio, tell me what you do. Like, I want to be able to scan your profile in like 5 seconds and be able to know, like for example, in
Yeah.
Khalil's example, we saw, he's an SEO consultant, and I knew that in 5 seconds, right by
Mm.
looking at his profile. So we want to be able to know what you do, what you're about, uh, right when we look at your profile. So definitely add that to your bio. Ideally, you want to have some sort of a better location. I notice he just has United
Oh,
States of America, but yeah, have a more specific location is always helpful when people are looking for freelancers and clients.
my location is pale blue dot, so that's even worse.
That's okay. I mean, you're using it as a personal account. That's okay. But I think, again, this is all advice if you're trying to get clients
Yeah.
through social media, right? If you're doing your thing on social media, then do what you need to do.
Yeah,
Um,
this one seems more of personal.
yes, it
But
does seem more personal. Yeah.
it's a good start to, with these tips to
Hmm.
start molding it into a
Yes.
lead gen and joining
Yes.
the community.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I love that tweet about their excitement about a workshop they recently did.
Oh yeah.
Love that. Yeah,
All right.
this is awesome. This is
All
good.
right.
Other than those tips, I think he's good.
All right, let's go to some of the questions because I also have some of the questions.
I'm
Some
excited.
questions for you. So, first one. Let's see here. I missed it. Okay, there we go. Omid is asking, how effective
I
are
mean,
co-marketing collaborations? Oh, okay, collabs. Yeah.
co-marketing is absolutely necessary for social media. If you're not doing any co-marketing, it'll be hard to grow. co-marketing is really, really crucial. And a mistake people tend to make here is they want to co-market with the coolest and the biggest accounts. Like
Yeah.
start where you're at. If you have 50 followers and someone else has 50 followers, collaborate with them,
Yeah.
because those are 50 new people. They're not the same 50 followers, right? So
Yeah.
any new eyeballs are good. So even if you're starting an account, you have 100 followers, follow other accounts that have 100 followers, and then collaborate. Whether it's like a value exchange you can give to each other's audience, whether it's like a session you can do together, whether it's like a workshop you can do together.
Yeah.
Collaborating is key, because it gets you the sort of the network exchange with both of your followers, and it's a really easy way to grow your audience and
One of the
credibility.
collaborations that I love was Pablo Stanley doing a
Hmm.
skit, like a telenovela skit, and it was him having to choose either sketch or Figma. I don't know if you
Right.
remember that,
Yeah,
but
I do remember that. Yeah.
yeah, and their social media accounts, both of those, like, collaborated with him. They changed their names for a day or something, and I'm like, that
That
is
was
so
awesome.
perfect.
That was
So
awesome. And that wasn't even planned, I think Pablo was just having fun, like making these skits.
he
And
loves to wear
then,
wigs.
yes, he Pablito, I think was his name.
Yeah,
Pablito.
yeah,
Pablito Stanley, when he did the
I
astrology ones. But yeah, collaboration is key. Again, like in Pablo's example, he went the route of like giving value
yeah,
first to the brand, right? Instead of being like, hey, brand, like brand X, right?
yeah.
Shouted me out, collaborate with me. Instead, he's like, no, 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 let me just give value to their audience. And then the brand itself notices. So that's another example of why giving first is more important.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. The Marine
Yes.
from Texas. Oh, that's Stephen Love. He's asking, what advice do you have for someone who discovered how to properly use socials late and they want to apply new techniques to grow following and engagement? Yeah, this goes with my question I was about to ask you. There's like
Hmm.
so much social media noise out there. If you're just starting now,
Hmm.
and you're saying to stay discoverable, like how do
Hmm.
you start growing?
So start with one channel,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
find the thing that you're most comfortable with, whether it's video, if you love making TikToks or TalkTiks, whatever it is, like find that thing that you are going to spend all your energy on. Like just even as a brand, even as an agency, like, you know, if you see a lot of your people on LinkedIn, just stay on LinkedIn, start
Yeah.
there. Don't worry about the noise. And this is really, really important
Yeah.
for any creative journey, right? Like there's going to be a lot of noise in the world at all times, whether you're doing whatever you're pursuing. So to cut out the noise, same thing on social. You have to ignore the fact that there are a million other channels. You got to start with one, stick to one, get started, keep growing, keep all that, pouring all that energy into that one channel. People will find you. You'll start to build a community, I guarantee. Um, and for someone like Steven, there's no such thing as being late. And,
Mm.
it's better late than ever. That's always
Yeah.
my philosophy. So if you think you're late, that means this is better. This is the best time,
Yeah.
because you were at least here. You
Yeah.
made it, like you started.
If you don't
So
start now and you think that you're late, then like 10 years later, you're still going to be
right,
late.
still gonna be late.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what
So,
that Steven, your perfect timing. This is the best time you could have done it. Um, get started. Do the things I mentioned today. Like if you're it looks like you're already on Twitter, stay on Twitter. Keep engaging. Keep practicing some of the tips I shared today, and you will see success. Like I guarantee.
and he has another question. And again, if you have any more questions, go ahead and start putting it in the live chat. How would you handle an executive's account when they own multiple brands and has multiple audiences on one Twitter account? It sounds like Elon Musk's problem. Like
How would I
how?
handle an executive's account? Well, it depends. Like we actually have at Webflow, we have a guide for executives to like handle mentions on social, like on Twitter or
Oh.
Facebook or LinkedIn, which I've created. And I think if I'm assuming this person is like an in-house social media
Hmm.
person. So I think what I would do is start with creating a guide for your executives. So tell them the absolute yes, absolute no, like do's and don'ts, basically.
Okay.
Tell them what kind of content to avoid, what kind of content to engage with. Give them some examples. I think that's a great starting place for execs. create a guide for them. I'm sure Elon Musk has a guide for himself, but
Does
but
he?
create maybe not. Maybe sometimes the way he tweets, I don't know. But uh, let's not use that as an
Okay,
example
yeah,
because I
we're
think
not.
that's just a bad example.
Yeah,
But
I'm sorry.
let's stick to yeah, create a guide. Make sure you outline for your execs, here's how to give them sample responses too. Like one thing I've given to all of our execs is like, if someone messages you about blank, like here's a templated answer you can say, but also fill in your personality, fill in your tone.
Mm,
But yeah, provide them with as much information as you can so that they can
yeah.
make the best decision. That's what I would say to that.
Yeah, because they're carrying
Yes.
that flag with them, especially
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Webflow execs. And there's times when I'm about to tweet and I'm like, I really care for Webflow in the community.
Right. Right.
Uh, is what I'm gonna tweet, is it gonna seem bad?
Right.
Because
Right.
yeah, yeah.
it's
So
it's 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 good to, like, get an additional pair of eyes on it too. Like
yeah,
if you're not sure, I'm not sure if Nelson, if you ask like your
yeah,
daughter or someone to double check your tweets, but it's good to get a pair of eyes on it for sure.
yeah. It's my 5-year-old daughter.
Yeah. Wait,
um.
can I say something?
Okay, go
Since
ahead.
because this is a really good thing that we're talking about. Is speaking of pair of eyes on a tweet, we're actually going to. This is live stream exclusive.
Oh,
Um, we're actually going to drop a really fun website for people to where they can like drop their tweets. Like Nelson, let's say if you're tweeting something you're not sure
okay.
about, this magic ball is going to tell you if this is good to tweet or not.
Did you build an AI or something
It's
to?
it's built in Webflow by Johnny. Shout out to Johnny, who I think
Okay.
most of you know in the community. It's called Magic 8 Ball, Magic Tweet Ball, whatever we're gonna
Okay.
call it. But it's gonna come out very, very soon. Like I can't say the day yet, but it's gonna
Okay.
come out very, very soon. It's gonna be really fun. Look out for it on our socials. We're gonna share it. But
Okay.
it's some fun thing that we built in Webflow, and just to show again what Webflow can do. It just blows my mind every time.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. And last question, and I think
Yes.
this one I really, really, really want to know about is like, if you can quickly list some tools for
Yes.
social media automation, because obviously you're not tweeting all the time and you're not responding all the time. Like there has to be some
No.
sort of automation that you use to make this engine run.
Yes, there definitely is. At Webflow, we use a tool called Sprout Social to
Okay.
schedule and report analytics and all that. Sprout Social is a great tool. I think Matthew or Lacey will drop the links in the chat. Sprout Social is a great tool. Link in bio clonable that we actually shipped a couple of weeks ago from Webflow. Our team, again, Mike, B, and Max, and myself, we built this free clonable for the community.
Yeah.
It's in the showcase or made in Webflow. Check it out. It's a great. Matthew will drop the link for that. It basically lets you have a link tree style, like link in bio style link where you
Yeah.
can add multiple call to actions for that Twitter link, for that Instagram link. So really good for agencies and freelancers to show off multiple call to actions. Clonable Remix by Buffer is a great tool
Okay.
for sharing tweets on Instagram easily. Like it's one of my favorite tools that we
Okay.
actually use at Webflow as well. Remix by Buffer. I think, yeah, Matthew will drop the link, but it's free to use. It's a great app on iOS and Android. Mention.com is a really good one
Hmm.
for agencies with like maybe a bigger budget to listen and figure out what their community is talking about. And it's a great brand listening tool. You
Oh,
can put
okay.
in certain keywords and get sentiment so for example, I can in this tool I can put in like Webflow, and it will tell me like Webflow is mostly talked about positively, and here's some of the positive tweets, here's some of the negative tweets. So
Oh,
it's a really, really cool, really cool. It's kind of pricey, but it's really cool.
okay.
Later.com for easy scheduling, especially for Instagram. If you're like an Instagram focused person, go to later.com, just later.com. And then hashtags for likes, which is my sort of tool where I analyze hashtags, like how much volume they get, when to use them, when to not use them, hashtags for likes. So these are some of my personal. There's a million more out there.
Yeah.
But if you are a solopreneur, I think Buffer also is a really good one. Just
Okay.
buffer.com. They have a free plan, which is great. You can get started for free, schedule all your Twitter posts, so you don't have to like tweet them out every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be my list. That'll
Yeah,
be my like
we'll put
stack.
those tools in the description box below after this stream. But yeah, that's all the time we have for questions and social profiles. Yeah, thank you so much, Deepak. I really learned a lot today,
That's
and I'm
awesome.
gonna try to apply some of this knowledge. Like I said, I'm gonna put my previous career and see how it does on a tweet.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah. But before I let you go, remind people where they can connect with you, and would you be willing to review their profiles if they tweeted at you?
I am totally down. I will open the floodgates. Yes.
Yay! Thank you, thank you.
No, I'm totally. I'll be happy to. You can find me on Twitter at life as Deepak. If you go on the Webflow Twitter page, you'll see my name there. I'm not super active on Twitter myself because I use Instagram more, but you
Okay.
can find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just Deepak Kanda. Message me there. Message me on Twitter. I'll happily respond to any questions that you have. I'll definitely do my best.
Well, thank you so much. And before I let you go, is there anything else you would like to say to the community?
Yes, I just really, really want to express my gratitude and thank you to each and every one of you who's always in our socials and replying, commenting, sharing so much love. We see you, and we know we do our best to respond to all of you. There's a lot of people, obviously, in our community. Our community's gotten so much bigger now, and
Yes.
it's just super amazing to see it grow. But yeah, I really want to express gratitude to all of you, and I definitely will see you on Twitter and Instagram. If you have questions, just let me know, or message Webflow too. Like I'll respond to your messages.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you out in the social sphere. Do they still call it that?
I think so. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
You can
Okay.
call it a
Cool.
social verse, right?
Oh
Social
no.
verse.
Here we go. All right. I'll see you later. Have a good day.
Thank you, Nelson.
Bye. All right. So that's it for this stream. I want to thank everyone who's in the live chat or just watching live, or if you're watching a recording of this. I always say this, but I truly mean it. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you next time. Stay tuned to our social media platforms so you know when the next live stream or when the next feature release is out or next university video. But yeah, so follow us on all the places. But that's it. And again, my name is Nelson. Thank you for joining. And as always, make the web beautiful together. See ya.